I tore with Azalea dying literally months before all the shit with Tim happened. And he couldn't
Really?
have
That's
been a
wild.
more, yeah, he couldn't have been a more nicer guy. Like, so when that shit happened, my mind was just like, no, no, that's not Tim. There's no fucking way. Like, I've been battling with my own mental gymnastics on that for years. And, now with them kind of making their comeback and, having still kind of mutual acquaintances, it's like, no, Tim, he's definitely changed. He's definitely, made his amends. And on one hand, I definitely see that and I'm kind of keeping up with it. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, he tried to like murder somebody.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked up. Like, how can you hate somebody so much, especially somebody that you supposedly loved at one point, that you want to murder them? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, my personal interactions with him, he was such a cool dude. He was funny. He was nice, affable. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what drove him to that point. And it does seem like he's being very, very genuine about like trying to fix what he did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to, I don't know, I guess not forgive him in a sense, even though I don't know him personally, just more of an acquaintance. So those two things, like, I'm like, fuck Decapitated, but on the other one, I'm like, I'll give Asley dying a chance, I
Yeah.
guess.
And that's what's so fascinating about all this to me, because I'm coming at it from very much like a mental health angle, because like I experience that on a daily basis. Like, if there's one thing that I've learned in my 10 plus years kind of working in counseling with families and kids and loved ones and all these different people, it's that both of those things can often be true, that somebody can be a loving, caring, cool person and also engage in some really horrific behaviors. And so it is hard. Like, I'd even venture to guess that there are probably people who know the guys from Decapitated who have the same feeling about them that you do about Tim, where they probably only saw maybe that cooler side or know them in a different way. And so it's tough. But I'm glad you're bringing up Tim, because I think that's one that has been weighing most heavily on my mind as somebody who's been a fan of As I Lay Dying since I was probably like 15 or 16, own all their albums, have very personal connections with all of them too. And in fact, I just posted a video today on like the cognitive triangle and how I see this kind of as an idea playing into the whole dynamic. That's just really the tip of the iceberg on my thoughts with Tim. But I agree with you. Like, I skeptically watched his recent video he put out. I forget which organization it was, but
Yeah, I watched that too.
yeah, and I thought it was very good. And I was like, okay, I'm not ready to just be all in and be like, okay, I forgive you and I think you're on the right path, but I'm interested. And, I'm curious to see where it goes. But again, as a mental health professional, especially as somebody who specializes in working with people who have been victimized by domestic violence, sexual abuse, various forms of physical abuse, what have you, I also think about his ex-wife and also his kids and what they're going through. And, is it okay for them to see this person still out there on stage, like getting accolades from an audience and seeing him as potentially this monster? And I don't know kind of what's going through their minds right now, but I that's something I've been very interested in.
And I hope I'm not speaking out of school on this kind of subject, but she was around a lot on that tour we did. Like, she was at quite a few shows, and so was his children. And maybe this is just me kind of like putting stuff together in hindsight, but there were times where, like, she'd be chilling in the back green room, not socializing with anybody, kind of looking maybe not scared, but just like something was off, but now I don't know if that's just me like putting that together
injecting
because of what
meaning
happened
into it.
Yeah, but like when he was around his kids, he seemed like a great dad. Like, he did some maybe like off-color stuff, like teaching his kid how to flip the bird just as a joke or whatever. And it was funny, like whatever, but I don't think he was like seriously teaching him like to do it in a hateful way. It was just like the kid did it on accident. And then he goes, yeah, it puts up the middle fingers, and again, like these are just kind of personal things that happen in the back. And I don't want to like act like I know everything that was going on, but it's, you kind of try to put together these little puzzle pieces of what you experienced and then what happened afterwards, and I guess kind of like put together the whole puzzle, even though it may not be the right pieces. So I don't know if exactly she was like scared or whatever. It could have just been me being like, that's what I think happened now that, everything came out with what he did. But she talked to people too. She was nice. And, these are just my experiences with him. And again, like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of school and making shit up or talking bad about Tim or anybody else. It's just, that's what happened on tour. So I'm just kind of relaying what I experienced on it.
Yeah. I'd really be interested. I think the bottom line is I feel like she deserves to have a voice in this, as the actual victim in this situation. So that was one thing missing from the video that I would have liked more of. I think he's going about it mostly the right way, in that he's like trying to get into social work and trying to, use his fame to actually help other people and prevent these things like this happening, which I think is a huge area of need, because, there's so much focus on the victims and what they need. And absolutely, we need to help those people. But if we want to, in the long term, have fewer victims and have this happen less, we really need to be focusing on the offenders and potential offenders. And how do we, help them deal with like their anger or, whatever it is that they're dealing with that is leading them to engage in these types of behaviors. But again, all that said, she deserves to and really needs to have a voice in this if she wants to.